Why do I have a yellow button on? There we go. All right. I think we're actually live. So first and foremost, welcome to everyone. This is Jay Fazette. You are watching the JVology show. I'm with my dear friend, Heather. How are you, Heather?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jay?
I am really quite exceptional, all things considered, with the craziness of the pandemic, digital events, craziness of homeschooling, the fact that I lost my razor and scissors. All things considered, I'm doing really, really well.
Not just our house. I know. It's amazing how we're all around 24/7 and we lose everything. I feel like we have a secret house guest that's taking all of our stuff. It's weird. It's really weird.
I'm not even going to address the secret house guest missing everything because I just swear to God, it is me. Now, I just realized that I've got you coming through my TV for sound instead of my headphones, which can give us a little bit of goofiness. So let me just fix that.
Okay.
All right. Output and input. We are on the Yeti. That's all good. Okay. Awesome. Now, we got a little bit of preamble that I always go through just before we roll. And so people who know and don't know and all that fun stuff. So let me tell the folks what is, who we are and what's going on and all that fun, wonderful stuff. So my name is Jay Fazette. For those of you who do not know, I am the founder of a very cool company and brand called JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit. And basically what we do at JVology is we help entrepreneurs reorganize their business and their business model to utilize joint ventures so that they get a steady stream of perfectly qualified leads for free at the front end of their business. And they get a consistent recurring income in terms of passive income from referring great JV partners to their clients. The entire stand is that we believe that we are better together. And when we want to serve and support our clients getting the solutions that they need in their business, we, instead of trying to be, all things to all people, we just build a great team of fantastic, talented human beings that truly, genuinely help people get stuff done. So we do that in lots of different ways. This show is one example of it, where we get to feature the brilliant community members, such as Heather, the legal website warrior, to our members and obviously to the world. We do that through digital programs like our joint venture success system, our membership programs like the what we call the Global Lounge, where we get together for training and joint venture invitations twice a month. We do it through live events. We've got a big one coming up. I am incredibly excited, which we're going to talk about a little bit. JVology Live Online, which is where we bring like 200 JV partners together for 3 days of training, support, and JV partner development. People leave with real deals. It is incredibly exciting. And then including some done-for-you processes, some hand-holding and coaching, and some premium programs. But here's the thing. If your business, you'd like to get more leads and you'd like to make more recurring passive income and you'd like to do so with great, cool people, we're it. Now, don't take my word for it. We're going to ask Heather in a moment or two. But one last mechanical detail, we would love to field any questions for you. So if you want to come over to where the broadcast page is, take your mouse and click on this video. It will take you to the broadcast page. And then when you chat there, say hello, tell us where you're from, and we will be able to respond, answer questions. There we go. My head keeps getting cut off. I'm trying to lower it down. Respond and ask questions and all those fun, wonderful things. Now, I am going to play our little video because I like to. And then Heather is going to give us the rundown of who she is, what she does, and how she serves and supports people. Here we go. All right. Welcome back. Okay. Heather, the legal website warrior, please take a moment to give people the 5,000-foot view of who you are, what you do, and how you help people. And by the way, I should just declare my bias. She's freaking brilliant. I hired her to help us with all of our online stuff, and you should too. Go.
Awesome. I don't think I need to say anything else. I know. Hi, I'm Heather, and so happy to be here with you, Jay. My quick story is I'm an attorney. I'm licensed to practice here in Washington State. I'm based out of Seattle, Washington. A handful of years ago, and I've practiced for 18 years, but a handful of years ago, I started a second, hi Mustafa, great to see you. I started a second business called the Legal Website Warrior, and that's an online business dedicated to supporting the online needs of legal needs of information entrepreneurs. And I say online, it's online and offline. It's more than just the online components. But that business, the reason I created that is because a whole segment of our small business community, and specifically the people that I serve, coaches, consultants, online educators, speakers, and authors, are not well served by the traditional legal model. And so I wanted to really go and meet people where they are. And the people that I serve are in the online space, they're in online education. And so I created a business that is located there as well to help serve folks based there. And so it's really like two alternate paths for serving the same community.
Cool. And so this whole piece of the online world, we, and I say we with my hand up, when you and I first met and we were talking about it, it's like you referred to the online world as sort of the wild west of marketing and business. And the truth of the matter, the Wild West is full of opportunity, but it's also full of hazards. It makes me think of that show. It's like 101 Ways to Die in the Old West or something, which was an absolutely horrible show, but funny. But there's a little bit of truth to that in terms of what's going on in terms of the online world. So what is it that most digital entrepreneurs don't know or are blind to? Like if we, and without like shaking the death rattle right out of the gate, but I every time I talk to you about it, it's like, oh goodness gracious, there are people who are at risk. So like, what are the biggies?
Yeah. Well, I think the first is just an awareness that there are a set of rules that apply, right? And hello, Yvonne, great to see you too. A lot of people, I think, and it's interesting because you speak to the point that there's this massive opportunity about, being online, showing up, being able to do things at a pace that is much faster than what I will call the old school kind of traditional landscape for business. And so it is what makes this space exciting. And, some Joe Schmo from his basement or his garage can put up a website overnight and suddenly be in business. Right. And so that's the scary point from the consumer side. And the rules of being online are finally starting to catch up with the pace that we do business. And when I say the rules, I mean, the marketing regulations we have in the United States. We have the FTC, which is basically a consumer watchdog for online businesses and services, making sure that, our marketing language is accurate. I mean, if somebody were to be watching the FTC, if you get on the FTC notification list, you'll get a weekly email right now telling you about all of the takedowns they are issuing in light of COVID and people using marketing language that capitalizes on COVID and the problems around that. Yes. And, making claims about cures or treatments or health stuff. And so there's a lot of ways that things can go wrong in the online world, but largely related to building a database, growing an email list, and collecting data without having proper disclosures in place, without understanding the rules that apply to collecting and protecting that data, distributing data, selling information, sharing information and advice, and just like this COVID example, using the wrong language, not having their marketing language examined legally, not understanding the rules of the landscape that they are playing in, right? Yeah. And then making sales online, right? That a lot of people get themselves into trouble because they're making sales and they don't understand how to protect against friendly fraud or protect their merchant account or protect the intellectual property that's inside their programs or courses or digital products.
So there's a long list of things there. Now, Now, I want to go back. So and by the way, if any of you are like, oh my God, like just relax. One of the things you need to know about Heather is that she is, to me, one of the most grounded, solution-oriented entrepreneurs and lawyers I have ever come across in my entire life, which is why, number one, I'm thrilled to have you as a part of our community. I'm thrilled to feature you at JVology Lives because those are places where people are like, yay, we're building a website. And it's like, great, and meet Heather. Actually, the camera gets reversed. I got to do it this way. And meet Heather. So I want to shift gears just for a brief moment to talk about JVology Live and how we first met. And truly, you have been a part of our community since the second JVology Live we ever did. So that would have been, I think I just got back from Germany where I was picking up my car. So it'd be like basically 3 years ago, almost to the day, actually. in terms of, is that right?
It's
January, February, March. It was March and it was snowing.
March 2017.
Yes, snowing like crazy.
Yes.
So how did you come to attend JVology Live? And I'm asking this question for a couple of reasons, because there's a whole bunch of people who are currently sitting on the fence, and it's like, look, you don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to put up with Canadian snow. You can do it from the comfort of your damn couch.
Right.
So
And my message to those people is like, you have no excuse. I did this at a time when I was 7 months pregnant. Like Jay said, there was literally a blizzard in Calgary, like white out. It was one of those ones that I think comes from like the North Pole on down and was taking over the world. But seriously, it was so cold. And it was bad. It was really bad. And my friend, who is a mutual friend of ours, literally called me up and said, Heather, I really think you need to be at this event. And I was like, Alan, like I'm 7 months pregnant. It's March. I've got a 3-year-old. I've got I can't just do this. And he was like, well, I think you should be there. And I'm pretty good at trusting my instincts. Like I usually get a pretty clear yes or no around whether something is a fit or not. And for whatever reason, this was a clear yes. And I was like, okay, I guess I better be there. So I got plane tickets for me, my 3-year-old, my hubby, and I flew us all to Calgary, in the middle of a snowstorm. We literally got to the airport at something happened with weather. Our flight was delayed. We got there at 1 a.m. All of the vehicles, for the rentals, were taken. We had to go to a totally different, just the story of how much it took to actually get there. We ended up having to rent this huge truck to even get to our hotel and drive around. Anyways, my husband enjoyed that part because he got to drive around in a big truck all weekend. But I was at JVology. And the funny thing is I was not accustomed to I didn't know your work. I wasn't accustomed really to events like this. And so I think I paid $400 to be there. Right. And then the travel expenses and all of that. And then I show up and of course I'm being sold another thing. I'm being sold the next thing. Right. Which kind of surprised me. I didn't really live in the world of attending these events, but I had a good laugh because again, I was like, I don't know how this fits, but it's a clear yes. And I bought. And that, that was the start of my journey. And really, and I'd had a sense for a while that the way that I was going to be building my business was through collaboration and relationships with other people, but I didn't know how.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to me. And one of the things that people should know about the JVology Live event is that we do an inordinate amount of training and we do our very best to teach. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it. Let us hold your hand for 3.5 days as you do it. And then most importantly, this is who you can do it with. We put those 3 pieces together. And our view of this is just really consistent with one of our core values, which is a joint venture is a game of I'll go first, which is why the ticket prices are quite inexpensive. But let us demonstrate what we can deliver. And if it's a clear yes, then goodness gracious, you should do it. If it's not a clear yes, then goodness gracious, you should find something else. But it is one of those pieces where to me, you're the epitome of that whole thing. It's just listen, does it fit? Great. Yeah. If it does, great. If it doesn't, great. It's one of those pieces. Okay. So from that time frame, literally at 7 months pregnant, saying yes to reinventing the business model and those sorts of things. Can we fast forward a little bit to how attending and how integrating JVs has adjusted for your business? Because and by the way, if it isn't already clear, I think I said it, but I just want to say it again. At JVology Live, Heather will actually be one of our speakers, and we'll be sharing. I believe it's your bucket presentation, but the legal buckets, which first time I saw it, I was like, "That's some holes in my bucket. I gotta fix." that song. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, whatever. Anyway, I will not pain anybody by singing. That's
all right. Most people have several.
And honestly, you need to know that presentation. But anyway, how did it shift, and how did you apply those pieces to getting the message of legal services out to the world in a bigger way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, at the time, when I joined, I knew that collaboration and JV relationships was the path. I didn't know how, and I didn't have any of that path plugged in or figured out. Right. And in the 3 years since joining, now that is the path. It's not it's not something that's a thought and that's something I should be doing or I should be figuring out how. I'm now on the path of that being the primary, if not desired, like exclusive way of growing my business.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
So, yeah. And I mean, and the folks, it's a big puzzle. Like, let's stand back for a second and talk about like the amount of effort and time that it takes to piece this together. It's not going to happen in 2 days, right? It's not going to happen in 3 days. Like your event is phenomenal, and it is like standing in front of a fire hose. I mean, I've been to.
I try not to, but I do.
It's okay. I do the same thing. I love fire hoses. I love them. And people are going to need to have support. They're going to need to make adjustments. They're going to need to stay involved in the conversation if they're really committed to figuring out how collaboration, how JVs work for their business. And so for me, the joy has really been to be able to see the progress. And I think I've been to 5, maybe 6 of your events now.
Wow.
Where each time, it's quite a few. I'm a fan. If you didn't know, I'm a fan, Jay. Each time it's been really fun to like walk through the self-assessment and go through some of the skills and the tools that you've developed and, that you share with your audiences at the live events to be like, oh, look what I've got done, and holy crap, look what I have left to do, right? There's always a bit of that. But also seeing the way that my approach to business has changed, the way that I don't look to relationships like as a last resort or as the final thing on my list. They're the first thing on my list.
Yes. That's monumental. Okay, cool. So can we tease the audience perhaps a little bit about your presentation and the 5 buckets and what, without giving away all of the trade secrets, which obviously years of a legal degree, we are not going to do that. But some of the highlights that they should be paying attention to and that you're going to dive into in a deeper way at JVology.
Yeah. First, I want to start from the standpoint of, it's interesting because as part of an exercise I did in this last week, I did a bunch of phone calls with people asking them actually about their biggest frustrations with legal support. And the number one answer across the board is what I've known, but, hearing it in so many words from other people has been helpful, is like the frustration of feeling like they're trying to make decisions in the dark. Like trying to and worrying about like, what is it that I don't know? Like how, I don't want to put myself at risk. And do I really need to go hire an attorney for all of this stuff? It's this kind of like wandering around and trying to be responsible, but also not knowing what that looks like. Like people genuinely want to take care of their businesses. They genuinely, want to do it the right way. And so I want to acknowledge people for that and say that our legal industry does not make that an easy thing to do. Like there's a reason for it, right? Mm-hmm. And so my whole presentation is really, my primary goal with that is to break it down so that people have the map. They have a roadmap. They have a start to their roadmap where they can look and say, oh, okay, it's actually not that complicated. It's not, I don't have to wander around in the dark anymore. I can look and be like, have I looked at this thing? Have I looked at this thing? Right. So that's the background around how that presentation developed and why I feel like it's essential as a starting point for most folks.
And I just want to share one of the things. Well, there's a lot of things I really appreciate about that presentation, but you look at it from a comprehensive entrepreneurial perspective. And I've had this conversation a bunch of times. As your dad was an entrepreneur, you've had an entrepreneurial grounding, like you are pro entrepreneurship. And it isn't just, these are the legal issues. It's like, well, what about protecting your assets? Like what about, like, there's a whole realm of pieces there that, I think the blinders of, I'm going to get a website and sell some shit online. Just most people are clueless about it. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. It's just like, we don't know what we don't know. And one of the other things about this gang is that Heather has always, in terms of being at the events, has always made herself incredibly available. And it goes back to this idea of a joint venture is a game of I'll go first. If you need someone in your corner who knows both law and entrepreneurship, you've just been always incredibly generous. And I just want to say thank you as publicly as I can for that. I think it's an unbelievably important piece.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. And to your point, I mean, even from the legal side, because I've got a lot of friends, obviously, friends and colleagues in law, and attorneys generally work really hard to serve their clients. But the thing that's missing is there are very few attorneys that can speak to the whole journey, that can speak to the whole map as it applies to somebody in online business and what I call information entrepreneurs. And a lot of people, like, you'll see even, advertisements online for like, protect your brand or whatever. And I'm always interested to see what other attorneys are doing and their language and what services they provide, because I don't do it all. I love to refer to good people doing good work. And oftentimes what that means is like they're focusing exclusively on registering a trademark. That's just one piece of the puzzle. And unfortunately, what happens from the consumer side is somebody is left to their own devices, generally trying to figure out like, where should I start? And they're just kind of picking pieces out that they think might be important, but they don't have a way to prioritize it. They don't have a way of knowing where this fits in the context of their other legal needs. And so that's what I feel like is really most helpful about that presentation is I want people to feel more empowered as a decision maker for their business about how to prioritize their needs and be really confident in the choices they're making.
Yeah. So I just want to go on a little rant for a brief moment. There is a I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. I can't really come up with one, so I'm just going to say how it's in my head. And by the way, like I'm a ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club award winner. We use ClickFunnels. I'm a fan of ClickFunnels, all the rest of it. But there's this the grounding around this funnel hacking. It's like I can go look at what somebody did and I can reverse engineer it and make it happen, all the rest of it. But it's like funnel hacking has also, crossed the line from copying somebody's strategy to literally people will copy other people's terms and conditions and a variety of things because it's like, well, hey, somebody paid for it somewhere along the lines. And in many cases, we're at that spot of a copy 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 of a piece of shit in the first place that wasn't designed for your business. People think that they've got it covered. And it's not true. So talk to me just a little bit about some of the service that you provided for us and why that process is incredibly important as opposed to funnel hacking somebody's terms and conditions, et cetera.
Absolutely. No, you raise a huge point. And I think that a lot of people feel like that's their choice in the marketplace, right? If they can't afford an attorney one-on-one to create all of this for them, what other choice do they have? And the important thing to know is that, yes, borrowing, I mean, the number of times I've consulted with clients or potential clients where I'm finding out about their original documents or something that they tried to put together. And it's like, oh, well, my friend who has this business gave it to me and he got it from his business coach or whatever. But you look at it and the number of times we've had to get people out of problems because of that, because there was language that was not a fit or out of copyright infringement complaints, right? I've personally had to track down people around the world that have ripped off content from my clients, including my legal content that my clients paid for, right? And it's, starting from ground rule number 1, if you're in the online space, like just regardless of what the content is, if you did not pay for it, if it was not made for your business, or you do not have an express written license to use it, like don't do it. It's so risky to engage in that for a variety of reasons. And then getting to the part about like what happens if you have legal terms in place that are not a fit for your business, they can sometimes do more harm than good. As one example, I consulted with a gal who was having me work on a client services agreement for her. And she's like, well, I think I got my website covered, but will you take a quick look? And I did. She was based in Florida. And I said, oh, well, do you know if you have a problem, you have to go litigate in California? She was like, what? I said, where did you get your documents? Right? Oh, from a friend. Right? And people just, when you do that, you don't have the context of knowing what was the quality of the work in the first place? What kind of a business was it designed for? Where did your friend get it? Is it even legal to do that? Probably not. I mean, there's so much complexity behind that it really is a disadvantage to your business if that's the approach.
Well, and so I just want to echo and to say this whole piece of, yes, there is so much complexity, but not so much if you hire somebody who specializes in it. And honest to goodness, we should not be going to our corner lawyer who handled buying our last house. They're not equipped for what's going on. And this is one of the reasons why, again, we always love to feature you and to let people know it is like, just for crying out loud, work with somebody who has the thing nailed down and knows what's going on. And it'll just make life so much easier. Okay. I just have a couple of other quick questions before we wrap up, and then we get to hang out at JVology Live. And by the way, I'm going to put another link in here because one of the things we do for JVology Live, www.com/VIPP. And if anyone wants to contact Heather more directly, find out more about her, get any of those sorts of things, we have what we call a very important partner page where we feature people who are VIP attendees, speakers, sponsors, community members that support us, all of those pieces. And I actually think that you are at the very top of that page. So you can go and you can get a little rundown in terms of Krista, our Director of Member Care, interviewed Heather a couple of days ago, and it was quite a popular interview.
At least with one person. At least with one person it was.
Honest goodness. And you were probably awake. By the time I found that comment, I think it was like 1:15, and it's like, bah! Anyway, let's just say that Krista and Heather had a fan.
Then got blocked.
Yes, and then they got removed. Anyway, the point to that is, at any point in time, if you want to find out more about who's at the event, what they offer, how they serve clients, where they are in terms of upstream and downstream, which if you don't know what that is, come to the event. But you can go check out her links, access, all those things are at that link. And Mustafa, I just want to make sure I'm not missing. Gave me some amazing advice about my contracts. I was amazed by her depth of knowledge and her expertise. Thank you, Mustafa. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So Jay, really quick, I'm noticing on the very important partner page, that the first link, the gift opt-in URL, looks like it goes to Mustafa's page.
That's why he likes you so much.
I mean, he's a fan. It's good.
Mustafa, by the way, we're just sending you a bill for another VIP ticket. It's on its way.
That's right. That's right. Mustafa, you know where to find me. Give me my people back. I'm kidding.
Sorry, I just have to go check that because that is hilarious.
Well, the funny thing about this is Mustafa messaged me the other day, and he's like, literally every time I'm on the phone with Jay, you're calling trying to get through or something like that. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. That's funny because I don't feel like I call that often, but I'm laughing that every time apparently Mustafa is immediately preceding me.
All right. I'm sending that note to Brad as we speak. Brad, that poor man is going to, between now and when JVology Live actually goes live, I hope he doesn't kill me. So
that makes two of us. Yeah. I hope not either.
Okay. So I had a great question. I got totally distracted with our giggle.
No worries. I will say I'm having a laugh about Mustafa's comments. We just went through his course, and there was something that came up around like, hey, everybody, use faxes, fax people. Like they're all the ways that you can do certain things. I was like, wait a second, don't use faxes. Like that will get you into so much trouble, faxes and texts. Yeah.
Really?
If you don't have specific consent to be able to fax them. So there have been some cases in the United States where the penalties are really, really hefty, larger than they are for the Can Spam Act. And so it's like $20,000 a pop for sending an unwanted fax if you get reported. So I'm just laughing. I have a feeling that might be the information behind Mustafa's comment there. But it's stuff like that. This is the kind of thing that I'll be honest that gets people in trouble when they take the advice, for example, of a business coach or somebody who is getting a little bit into the world of legal. And this is not a comment on Mustafa. This is just what happens in the marketplace without having somebody on their team that can say, So great. I love Mustafa. We've spent a lot of time with late night chats lately, both working until like 3 a.m. Without somebody that can say on your team, like, yes, that's a strategy that will work. Yes, that's a fit. Or here's how you do it the right way. Right. And that's the risk that people run, is like taking advice, pulling advice from the marketplace, thinking that it's a fit for everybody without having the legal chops to know how to do it the right way, or whether or not they should be doing that at all in their business.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Absolutely a big deal. Okay. I really have no idea. It was something to do with legal stuff that fell out of my head. So I'm going to ask you a different question.
Okay.
I got entertaining myself. So for anyone who is sitting at home wondering if they should attend JVology Live on June 12th to 14th, from the comfort of their own home, meeting 200 other JV partners and getting a ton of support and training, words of wisdom or thoughts about trying to help them get to a clear choice that's appropriate for them?
Yes, the answer is just yes. No, but the thing I would want to say, like, yes, it's a no-brainer. You don't have to fly to Calgary in the middle of winter. Yes, you should be there online for this event. One of the things that's most powerful, I think, especially for people that are starting to explore this world and that don't know what they don't know, even in the context of JVs, is that I think something that you do masterfully that sets people up for success right out of the gate, that they are truthfully unlikely to get other places, including in other communities that teach about JVs, is that the way that you set up the framework and prepare people for engaging in conversations that create a win-win-win, right? And what that means, and like how to really truly show up for collaboration for a JV conversation. Like, I think that is the most essential, powerful piece of the conversation if you're just getting into this world of exploring JVs. And so for that one point of teaching alone, which is a very small piece of what you cover in your 3 days, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth 3 days of keeping your buns in a seat to really study that.
I love that. And there's a bunch of nuance to that comment. The one thing I will say that sort of underlines it is that we, in the event, the intention is for you to do a joint venture invitation with basically every other person there. And notice I didn't say it's a pitch, because they are radically and dramatically different. And when we come at it from that space of contribution, connection, and an invitation, and just in a safe place to practice it, people just leave with real partners. And that is one of the things that I am absolutely incredibly pleased and proud of, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and it's the safe space is critical for people to be able to learn like what it takes, get their language right, like just to be able to practice is huge, because it's intimidating to go try to like replicate that out in the world of business and feel like you're doing it the right way, right? So yeah, it's huge. I mean, the value is just an absolute no-brainer, and the fact that people can participate from wherever. I mean, you would just be so crazy not to do it.
Yes, and I hear from people like, well, it might not be that convenient. It's like, so and this is what I say to people, and sometimes people are, well, that's a sales pitch. No, it's absolutely not a sales pitch. So if on the weekend, which is June 14th, if you are doing something that is going to absolutely for certain make you $100,000, or you have a funeral, or you have a wedding, those are the only appropriate things. Otherwise, juggle your damn life and get your ass there, because it will add 6 figures to your business over the long haul every year for the rest of time if you just freaking do it. So yes, you and I are on the same page about that. Like, just make it happen. Okay. Now, can I ask a Snoopy question that we didn't prepare for? Totally. Okay. Which is this: Are you planning on doing? Because I want to bait and incent some people. Are you planning on doing a similar invitation as to what you did at our last JVology Live, which was so marvelously received?
Yes, I am. I feel like now more than ever, everybody needs that.
Okay, so let me just say this in terms of my last little bit of bribery and future pacing and all of those pieces, which is this. the generosity that Heather offered for people who needed support in the legal scenario, you cannot get anywhere else under the sun. You can't touch it for 10 times the price. And the only way to get it is to be at JVology Live and to take advantage of this epically effing stunning, screaming hot, if you need this, you have to take advantage of it, invitation. So that in and of itself should be reason enough to get your butt to that event.
Oh, yeah. No, and I appreciate that. I mean, for the cost of what somebody would maybe pay for her, thank you, Deidre, pay for a phone call with an attorney. I mean, they get thousands and thousands of dollars worth of legal support that everybody needs.
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
in the online space, everybody needs it.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Okay. One bit of mechanical detail that I want to cover. So first and foremost, if you want to come hang out with Heather and I and 200 other great entrepreneurs, go to jvologylive.com. The link is in the chat, and get your ticket and all those pieces. If you do it quickly, you will get your what we call your partner creation box that has all kinds of cool little goodies in it, including a branded glass of wine and your workbook and a couple of little goodies from Heather and a variety of pieces that is well worth it. But you got to get that, or you got to register fast for that to arrive in time. That's number one. Number two is, if you're unsure still, if should I do this or shouldn't I do this or any of those pieces, I am doing a live training, which is called Unlocking Lead Flow, which really talks about what some of the core promise of joint venturing and JVology Live is about, which is if we can really build this. By the way, I kind of want to talk to you about the potential for trademarking a little wordplay that I've been playing with, which is what we all need is an entrepreneurial safety network. Anyway, it's weird, but I actually really quite like it. But that whole piece is when our businesses contract and we start having trouble, it's usually lack of leads or lack of cash flow. And organizing ourselves around this idea solves both. So if you need a little more sort of like what the hell is going to happen there, you can certainly come and attend this. And then the other thing, if you want to, just to be clear about it, it's not the same epically stunning, amazing invitation that happens live. But let me get this URL in. We have a resource page, jvology.com/resources. That if you want to connect with Heather, if you want to understand some of what her offers are and all those sorts of things, just go right to the resources page, scroll down, you will see legal support and all those sorts of things. And there's a great big section just for Heather. So you can go over there and visit that and find out more as well.
Awesome.
Precious says, Jay makes his own jokes funnier. I'm glad you think so. My wife generally doesn't. So last word to you, Heather. What shall we leave them with?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, right now in this very interesting time, I think for me, the saving grace, I mean, even around sanity, even around like times when I honestly just want to break down, is really being in community with people, like having a place to show up, faces that know you, that you can have real conversations with about business. And that is one of the things that I appreciate most about you, Jay, about your group, is like the realness of the conversations, right? There's no hiding the ball, and you share your wins and your losses and your lessons and everything in between. And I just think that that's the most powerful thing as far as a resource that we can have available to us, especially in a time like now.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think that is one of the things, if nobody's been to one of our events, we consistently get feedback about this is a little different. And that is not accidental, that is by design. I fervently believe the most important component of all of this is tribe and community. And literally the cover on our workbook is "We're better together." And I fervently believe that with every cell of my being.
Yep, me too.
All right. Well, I hope you get a little more sleep tonight. Thank you for making time to see us. And I am totally looking forward to hanging out at JVology Live. It is going to be awesome.
I am too. I can't wait. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good to see you, Jay.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we're still on. I'm trying to get my mouse to do what it's supposed to do.
There we go. Just kidding.
It's
Still
like
live.
we are like my mouse will not move. There we go.